Well, good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, and it is 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. And it's great to be with you for another edition of Elevating You. Had the week off last week. Mike Mooney was working really hard. He needed a break. Jill Bauer, I mean, for gosh sakes, she's been grinding more than anybody I know. So, and when you're on the Today Show every now and again, you got to give the big superstars a break. So that's what we did last time. We took a break, a week off.
Give her a pass.
I actually traveled on an airplane. I want to give a big thanks and a big shout out to American Airlines for not having the middle seat open. I do want to say that I really enjoyed a full packed flight. That's not what I was expecting. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, I will say safe travels to everybody out there. It was good to be back on an airplane. And I know these two, my partners, enjoy the flying as well. This is an opportunity for you to reach your peak. If you know this show at all, we do it on Thursdays, most every week, inspiring career growth conversations, casual. And I'm Kraig Kann. Mike Mooney from Mooney Consulting is right there in one of the boxes, and Jill Bauer in another of the boxes. We have various backgrounds, and we're here not to be lecturers. We're here to stir conversation and create some ideas. And with that, I'm just going to say hi to both of you. Jill, you first. How you doing? What's going on?
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Nice to see you. I have to say, I missed you guys. It's been a few weeks, so yeah. Fun to be back with you. I love these Thursday mornings and talking with both of you and everybody who tunes in. Like you said, I feel like I have a bit of a Groundhog Day. What's been going on with me? I'm busy, but it's all good and having fun. And, I did a segment on the Today Show last week on bacteria and germs. So if you need any consult on how to clean your house, I'm your gal. And, doing some other fun things, and was at a baseball game last night with my son. Their team won the district championship. So that was lots of fun. So work-life balance is there and enjoying every minute of it.
Yeah, I was going to say it was too easy for me to tee up. That wasn't a Phillies game. That I know. But anyway, it's much better when it's your kid playing anyway. And hey, here's a little tidbit for you. Adam Hazley, one of your outfielders, played high school baseball with my son. You want to talk about a great kid, great young man. He is all of that. So there's a guy for you to root for. Mike Mooney.
Hey,
how you doing, man?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, gosh, it's so good to see you both. Like Jill was saying, these are great mornings together. I truly look forward to it. I want to thank everyone who's joining us as well out there, and know that we are keeping up on Facebook on the stream. So if you want to pop in with a question or a thought or a comment, we are listening, watching, talking with you, etc. But it's so good to see you guys. Been a crazy week and a half. I was up in Pennsylvania last Friday. I think I may have mentioned on one of our other episodes with our farm up there, Pocono Organics. We had this global event on Friday that we've been planning for 14 months. It was almost like a wedding we were trying to put together. And it was absolutely amazing, all around the power of food and then the diversity of food that we have, right? And anyhow, it went off without a hitch. Absolutely amazing. We had a virtual experience in the morning, had over 1,200 people from around the world joining, and a great COVID-safe event in the afternoon, education symposium. So now we're kind of like catching our breath, and I'm working on some more programs and virtual events on the speaking side too. But these mornings, I tell you, I walk away more focused, excited, and pumped up about it. I know Thursdays are good, but maybe it's good we have this boost on a Thursday towards the end of the week versus Monday in the beginning. But
yeah, I agree with that. I've got a really big thing coming up today, kicking off 32 virtual webinars with a Fortune 500 company at 11 o'clock Eastern this morning. And quite frankly, this that we're doing right now is going to make me better for that. And I'm super excited. So I always enjoy doing that. So let me kick off kind of where we are. And I know people know who we are at this point. At least I hope that they do. With that, here is the topic that we had last time. This is the topic from last time. One career skill that you need ASAP. Now, Jill wasn't with us. It was Mike and I. And the comment basically that kind of kicked off the conversation for us was, yes, these are different times. These are idle times. We're not doing what we used to do, face-to-face meetings. And as I said earlier, flying on airplanes and, getting in front of clients or going into your office and sitting with people and having group discussions and dialogues and presentations and board meetings and whatnot. We don't want you to sit still. So what Mike and I challenged each other with really was coming up with one skill that you could have ASAP that will really help you, not just now, but when we kind of get back to some semblance of normal that makes us feel comfortable. So just as a kind of a refresher, I'm going to put those in front of our audience here today. And it's obviously new for Jill because she wasn't a part of this last week. And Mike, if you want to give me 30 seconds on just reminding people of what your one thing was. And then I do have our question of the week coming up here that I'm going to toss to Jill. So go ahead, Mike. Your one big thing was what?
Yeah. So my big thing was around the idea of being a power storyteller. About in today's world, it's truly about how we're connecting with people, how we're able to harness the story, the thing that we're trying to say, the share that we're trying to make, but more importantly, recognize that it's about the emotional connection. How are you positioning and shaping that story that is not only getting your mind engaged, but more importantly, our hearts, because that's how we're wired. We're wired for emotional connections. And that's why storytelling and harnessing that is a valuable skill to sharpen up. Yeah.
That's what I actually thought as well. I think storytelling is the key to a whole lot of things. And I think it's important. And mine tied into that, which is finding an active voice. And I think that's really important for people, not just to figure out where their strengths are, but to use them and how they use them. And that's what we talked about last week, was finding platforms and places that we can actually put it to use. What's your message is important. Where your message shows up is equally or more important, because you want people to be able to find that, to be able to digest that, kind of like this here that we're doing each and every week. So finding your active voice is big. Now, I will say this, Jill, as I lead into the question of the week, not everybody does get tapped on the shoulder, to have that opportunity. So I want to give people the idea that sometimes you have to go and actually take the initiative and get people to give you that opportunity. It's super, super important. So with that, Jill, I'm going to go to last week's top question. Okay. And here we go. It's from Jerry in Pennsylvania, who said, I love the one thing, but having to add a career skill, which is what we were challenging people to do, having to add a career skill can take my focus off what I was hired to do. Is this something I could actually discuss with my boss, or would it hurt me? All right. Would it hurt me? So I will let you take that question and go with it.
Well, I look at it and I think, I don't know a manager or director out there who wouldn't be open to having a conversation with one of their team members who wants to make themselves better. Oops, just lost my headphone. So I look at it and say, listen, Jerry, if you wanting to pursue some other career skills, yes, I would go talk to your manager about that, because what you're doing ultimately is you're making yourself a better employee. The key is you have to tie all of those things together for your manager so that they understand, yes, I'm going to be doing a little bit of focus here, but because I'm doing that, let me tell you how I'm going to be able to better serve the company, how I'm going to be able to create more revenue, how I'm going to be more productive because I'm incorporating this into my work stream. So I say, pursue what you want, have the conversation, and turn it into an opportunity for you to be a storyteller about what you're going to be able to do for your employer.
I agree. Mike, did you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely spot on. I think where people sometimes run into challenges when they talk about trying to gain more skills or do something differently is that they don't often look at it from the position of their manager or that decision maker, because their priorities are somewhat different than ours individually at times, right? So if there's a way that you can ensure that you're positioning what you're doing as an enhancement, as a value add, as a value point to either where the company's going, versus a distraction, versus something that's completely different than, where your department or your team is heading, I think you'll have better success on that front.
Yeah, agree totally. So with that, that's last time. And now let's focus on why we're here today. And this topic is a cool one. It's actually talking about setting priorities and putting the focus where it belongs. And I think that's really important because it's easy to get distracted right now in the world in which we live. Where do I work? What do I do? How do I do it? I've got so many things that I think I need to take care of. I don't know where to start, all of that. And so what I wanted to do, Jill, and I'll go to you first on this, I wanted to put a quote up there because I think that this is kind of important for people as an overarching theme, something that they can, take with them, talk about whatever, but you always have time for the things you put first. Now, when we started today, you said, I'm going on work-life balance, I know you've got your things with your projects and Today Show things and all of that, but you made sure you were at your son's game. Now, I know that's a life situation, and we're talking about career here today, but you can take that and run with it in the direction of career and help people out.
Well, I think that you have to look at what is it that you're really wanting to accomplish, right? And then how do you put that at the top of your list? My husband and I just had this conversation. I was talking about something and he had asked me about something and I kind of was like, yeah, whatever. And he looked at me and he's like, you did your thing because it's important to you, but you forgot that I needed you to do this thing. And that was important to me. Right. So it's true. Like, so, and so I guess my point is you have to be mindful about what it is you are putting first, because you are putting the things that you like, that you enjoy, that are motivating you, that are fun, that engage you, that inspire you. Those things are always going at the top. But at the same time, you also have to be mindful of the other people around you, because there are going to be times when you have to take some of their needs, whether that's, spouse or friend or child or employer, and find ways to take their needs and work those into your priorities too. That kind of went in a weird direction, but I hope it made sense.
No, I think it's important. Here, I'm going to show you guys something because I think this is important. Now, I don't know if Mike's already a published author, so he's got a great book out called Reputation Shift. This book was very inspirational to me. All right. I don't do a lot of promoting of everybody's book, but this thing right here, is really important for people to get a grasp on, because it helps train you on your focus and it figures out your strengths. So there's a book for everybody. I like the back cover too, which is just, figuring it out, the question mark of what it is for you. And I don't do that to promote Gary Keller and his book. I do it. Is he going
to be on your podcast next? Is this what's happening?
Are
you seeding?
No,
hey, Jill, keep an eye on this. If we see this happening, okay.
Yeah, I got 3 episodes left. I got to work on. So anyway, with that, what I would say is that when it comes to career, when it comes to where we are right now, we do have to focus on. I'm talking about the here and now, because going too far into the future is a waste of time. And going backward, we can't change what happened in March. We can't change. None of us saw coming what was happening in January and February. We were probably all excited about where the year was going to go. And then boom. All right. So now I just sounded like John Madden. Boom. So anyway, where we're going to go for the future is super important, but we got to narrow the focus on our career. What's that one thing that I think we can think about for ourselves? It's going to be different for everybody. So with that, what I did, folks, to all of you watching here, I actually challenged each of the 3 of us to come up with one area of focus. Now, as I put these up here, I want you to think about what it would be for you. Now, these are not the Bible. This is not the one that you have to do, but it was obviously an important thing for Jill, an important thing for Mike, and something for me that I would focus on if it was me. So as always, or most of the time, ladies first, and I'll let Jill go with hers, and I'll let you take it through. Jill, notice, and everybody notice how I built this. there is a stopwatch there, a clock that has nothing to do with the amount of time I'm giving Jill, but what it does is I want to emphasize the importance of time management because, and I know Mike Mooney is phenomenal at this because I've seen pictures of his office. Everything is organized and choreographed, and I try to do the same thing. So Jill, build your brand awareness. Take it away. Talk about yours, that your most important thing is.
So, when I say brand awareness, I think it's important to, to let a lot of people know. They might look at me because of what I'm doing with my career. I'm the brand. But that's how everybody needs to think about themselves. You are the brand. You are sometimes a subset of your company's brand, right? But you are the brand. So when I talk about building, brand awareness, it's really, ties into what Mike's going to talk about building your reputation and who you are. So why that's important for me right now, because for 25 years, my brand was a sub brand underneath QVC. Right.
Yeah.
And so everybody in that QVC universe knew me. Right. And all of those customers knew me. But the rest of the world who'd never watched QVC or shopped that way had no idea who the heck this Jill Bauer was. So for me, what I've really been striving for is letting people know who I am. I'm doing that on social media and what it is I do. I'm not just a talking head on television. I'm a homemaker. I love to transform people's homes. I love to share recipes. I love to decorate. I love to be with my family. So everything I'm doing in my social media, on my blogs, is all working back to establishing that that's who Jill Bauer is. Yes, I am a passionate speaker and I love working with you guys. And yes, I have a great track record in sales and I know how to, I've been told I could sell ice to the Eskimos. Okay, great. But at my core, who am I? I'm just Jill. And that's that everyday kind of gal who loves being at home and sharing that with everybody
I'm going to interrupt you and I'm going to tell, this is my 30-second Jill Bauer commercial as a president of her fan club, or certainly somebody on her fan club. I've known Jill for a long time. Now, she's a QVC niche network. I'm at Golf Channel niche network. So our paths didn't really cross that much unless she was like selling golf gear on QVC, which I don't think she did. I think she sold like Christmas ornaments and home goods. But anyway, what I can tell you is when she says just Jill, that is the person that I have known dating back to a few years ago, back in our college days when we were both in the same journalism school. And you have stayed true to that brand, which has helped you be successful. All right. So that's my commercial. Keep going. I interrupted you. Silos was one of the things that you were also talking about.
Yeah. So again, I think we all have our hands in a lot of different pots, right? So I call them silos. So what am I doing over here for social media? I'm using myself as an example. What am I doing in this silo with Can Advisory Group? What am I doing over here with my Today Show? And then what's the bridge that brings them all together? Because if there's one thing that's way out here and there's one thing over here, and it's really sort of like there's no rhyme or reason to it, again, that makes it a real struggle for the person to keep back to that true brand awareness. So I'm always making sure that the decisions that I'm making in each of these silos are all going back to my brand. And then finally, thank you, Kraig, for those nice things that you said about me. I am just Jill. I never wanted to be on television, frankly. It's just kind of where I landed. And so I look at the world of being on TV from an everyday lens, not from an elevated one of like, isn't it great I'm on TV? It's just something I've been lucky to do. But the North Star that has always guided me is this right? What, am I making the right decisions that when I was on QVC, let me tell you, it would be easy to have that North Compass go a little south because you have so much pressure on you for sales. I was always making sure if there were issues with this product, if it wasn't right for somebody, if this wasn't going to work for someone, I told them. I had to, because I never wanted somebody to get something at home and be like, that Jill Bauer, she told me it was going to do this and it didn't. I always made sure that I told that right story. And as I'm pursuing this Just Jill brand, that same North Star is what's guiding me. is this true to who I really am? Is this really something I would buy? Is this really a brand I want to partner with, even though I think the pricing that they're charging their customers is astronomical? No, because if I'm not going to buy it, I'm not going to partner with you. So driving that North Star in me, that keeping that moral compass, being fair, being smart, being kind, all of those things, like that's what drives me every single day. It's, thank you to my parents and my grandparents who I think instilled those values in me. But, it's so much of who I am as a person. And therefore, of course, it's so much of who I am as a brand. And at the end of the day, when I'm looking at opportunities or considering job changes or moves, or should I take on this project or partnership, I really go back to, is it about who I am, and does it align? Do those silos align with what I want to present to my followers? So those are my three. How'd I do?
Very well. So Jill's big topic is building brand awareness for yourself. So, when I do my individual consulting with people and talk to them about it, I number one, remind them that they are a brand. And if they don't think that, then we're wasting our time. The job is to figure out strengths, differentiators, where you want to be able to put that brand and how you're going to get people's attention through your brand. And a lot of that will come to what Mike and I are going to talk about as well. I do want to remind people, because I think it's important, that you can ask questions to us, and that's where we come up with question of the week. I pulled that off of either. What's that?
We need some intro music for that.
Yeah, we do, or a drum roll of some sort. That's how Jerry from Pennsylvania jumped in. But if you want to ask a question, you can do it on Facebook, on the Kann Advisory Facebook page. You can send an email direct, info@kannadvisory.com. Or, you know what? We actually replay this. We post this on LinkedIn. We post this on our various platforms. I know it's on my YouTube channel. And so you can fire it at us. However, we will come up with our questions. With that, I'm going to... Yeah. Did you want something, Mike?
Well, I want to jump in real quick. I know, Kraig, you're gonna hop into your area, but there's a point that I love that Jill made. Not only the idea of consistency across the brand, but you talked about that North Star, and I want to share a quick story because it's something that's important to me. I actually have it in my book as well, and scouting was a big part of my life growing up, and my son's as well. And we found ourselves on a lot of trails, hiking and camping. And our compass was an important and vital tool. It was one of our top 10, essential tools to have with us. And there's this interesting thing that and I call this the 1 degree of behavior. All right, Jill, this kind of ties back to your piece there of your moral compass, that if you were to set a heading on your compass and you were to be off just 1 degree, just 1 degree off that heading, doesn't sound like much, right? And if you were to hike 1 mile, 1 degree off of that true north, or where you were going, you would essentially be 90 feet away from where you wanted to be on that path. Not too far, you can course correct. But if you stayed on that 1 degree bearing of being off, just 1 degree, a little bit, and you went from Charlotte Douglas Airport, you flew from Charlotte, where I am, out to LAX, you'd be more than 50 miles off course, 50 miles away from where you were originally intended to be. And to me, that always illustrated the power of short-term decisions and long-term impact, just by being off that 1 small degree on your true north. So I love what you're saying about the moral compass, and hope that helps you on the trail and in life too.
The moral compass and the career compass. Charlotte Douglas, by the way, is like my second home. I've also been trapped there a few times on missing connections. I think I spent more overnights in Charlotte than Cam Newton when he was playing for the Panthers.
Oh man.
Anyway, let me get back to where we are. So there's your opportunity, folks, for your questions. And I do want you to be able to ask those. I'm going to move into mine. And these are some of the things that I think are important for you to consider. So Jill's talking about building brand awareness. I'm talking about, if I'm going to focus my energy on one thing right now, and I'm going to set aside time, I'm going to build myself a bigger, better, bolder, brighter network. And I set aside time each week for what I call build calls. And so I'll do my consulting one-on-one on a certain day of the week. I try to focus my energy so that I don't get lost with a calendar that I can't remember and gets too, clunky or cluttered. But I will also set aside a block of time for what I call build calls. Now, those are not necessarily sales calls. There's a difference. Some of them might lead into that, and I'll be prepped to be able to share what my offerings are and what I can do, I think, to add value to somebody. But it might be just a check-in. It might be people that I connected with on LinkedIn or who connected with me, because one of the things, if you're going to connect with me on LinkedIn, you got to have two things. Number one, you better have a really good avatar picture, because if you don't take the time to put your brand forward, back to what Jill said, and put a picture that's professional on there, but you want to connect with me, I don't know who you are. And I don't feel like you're putting enough effort into your own self to build the network that you need to build. So number one, that's important. Number two is, if you're going to connect with me, then we got to find a way to truly connect, and there has to be value on both sides. So I think oftentimes people look at others for what they can do for them, as opposed to what you can do for them, or what value you might be able to bring. It's not all what comes back to you. It's maybe just a conversation, and you're going, kind of like Mike said, these conversations that we have on Thursdays are very beneficial. He maybe draws some inspiration or gets a couple of nuggets. I mean, I can't tell you how many things that I've pulled from conversations that I've had with Mike or Jill or us together. That stuff's important. So I think those calls are very, very big. The other thing that I think is important is social skills. And by that, I'm not talking about how you handle yourself in public. I'm talking about social media. And this is something that right now, if I'm being honest, I have, and I'm sure maybe you guys do too, I have a calendar that you input certain tweets. Now, I live tweet and I live post on Facebook and I live post on LinkedIn, and I handle that on my own because I want it to be that authentic thing. But there's also an automated version where things are going out that are, my thoughts or ideas or whatever they might be. Right now, it's not my hugest priority. So I've kind of hit the pause button on some of that. I do more live tweeting and some of the other things. But I think strategically, it's really important, whether you're building brand awareness like Jill's talking about, or it also ties to what Mike's going to talk about here in a minute. When I'm building my network, I need my network to see the value in me before I have the build call. Like, I've got to put something out there that speaks to what I offer and speaks to what I deliver, and it's got to be consistent. So to me, that's really important as well, is focusing when you're building your network on the social media aspect. And then that ties into prioritizing others. And I think so many times we get locked in, especially in times like this, on, oh my gosh, I got to figure this out for me.
Right.
And I have found in this pandemic, somebody made a comment to me the other day from a company that I have had conversations with, which I thought was pretty telling. And it was really about the situation that we're all in, and people saying, how many times do you actually say, if I only had more time? Or I'm overwhelmed, I'm bombarded, I just can't take a breather, I don't have, hello, this has been forced upon us.
Here you go.
We have time right now. I've got some busy things on my calendar today, but I know that I can carve out an hour that I might not have been able to do a few months ago or a year ago because I might have been busy or I might have been traveling. So use that time. But when you do, put other people on the higher pedestal. Don't just sell your product. Listen to their needs, put them first on the platform, and think of others. I think that's really important when you're building a network, because nobody wants to be a part of your network if it's all, as we would say in the business, local news, right? I've told my kids that so many times. When they were younger, when you're talking to somebody, ask how they're doing, because all news is not local. You can't expect everybody to come to you and go, hey, that's really great what you're doing. So I think that is really important. So weekly build calls, some focus on social media, and prioritizing others in building a network. Anybody want to chime in on that before we move this thing along? Going once. Twice.
Go ahead, Mike.
Mike.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, man, I love the idea of the build calls, because that truly, even today's world, about just checking in, it's amazing. Not only the opportunities that come from those conversations, because you get the, oh man, so good that you called. I was just thinking about, or this just popped up. But it's also just the connections we talked about earlier about the power of that, and with that also, bridging back to your brand. That, are you a connector? That's something that's important to me. I've always wanted to be that connector, and making sure that I'm reaching out and we're connecting people, not just for your own benefit, but for others. I'm a big believer in the idea that we is greater than me, and that is. I love what you have in there.
That's great. There's two words. If somebody said you could only be known for two things, and I've talked about this, maybe not on this program, but somebody says, who are you? What do you do? I say I'm an elevator. I elevate people to be better. I elevate brands to become bigger, and I elevate events to become grander. That's one of the things that I talk about. But the other word would be I'm a connector, and I try to be connecting other people. I might not have any gain about it, but if I can help two people connect, or two companies connect, or somebody that delivers a service helps somebody else, I get word of mouth marketing out of that as well, and my company will benefit. So I think that's really big as far as brand awareness and everything else that we can talk about. So I gave people the opportunity for the questions. I do want to take a quick moment to remind people of what we offer together. I mean, here we are sitting on a Thursday like we do, but we offer something that we believe is far more powerful than even what we're delivering here in a 45-minute deal on Thursdays. And that's what we call a transformational opportunity. The series is called Present to Win, and it is through the web, and it is an opportunity for you to get your company sales team together, get ready for Q1 of next year. We have a lot to offer, and it's a power-packed interactive webinar where we each focus on our strengths and help deliver those to you with actionable takeaways. So your company, whether it be 15 people, 20 people, whatever that number is, you will not just hear a lecture series. And I think, Mike, you can speak to this real quick about the volume of speakers. Like normally they might just hire Mike Mooney, or they might just hire Joe Bauer or Kraig Kann. This is different.
Well, I mean, and that's exactly it. It kind of goes back to what I was saying before, is that we is greater than me. And that strategy and that idea is exactly what we're offering here. Typically, sales leaders will bring in one person to speak on one topic. And the beauty of this is not only in the efficiency of having three key links in that chain of success for sales, but you're bringing in three very well experienced, seasoned, professionals that are going to not just talk at, but bring people into a conversation, make it an experience that they're going to actually be able to walk away and say, I'm empowered, I'm equipped, I'm inspired, I'm motivated. Let's get out there.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. And info@cannadvisory.com is the email. You just have to send that. It goes directly to us. We'll set up the call. You won't just get one of us. You'll get all three of us on the phone. We'll work on a custom program for you, whether it's one webinar or a series of that we can deliver to your team and help elevate you to new heights. We're looking forward to that opportunity. And with that, I'm going to move right into you, Mike, and let you go with yours. So we've heard from Joe, which was brand awareness. Mine was building a network, and here is yours.
Yeah, this is new to me. I've not seen this slide before. What is this thing, reputation? I have no idea what to even make of this. I don't know. No, this is really coming in, from my heart on topics, of reputation. I've written my book on that. The idea of how we as people are building our reputations and how important that is in our lives, in our careers. The fact that reputations are truly, they accelerate opportunities. They create gravity around us. They protect us. They give us second chances. I think we can all look back at times in our lives where we've seen how our reputation has helped us, or we've seen experiences in our lives where maybe somebody asked for a referral and their reputation hurt them and they didn't even know it. So the impact that reputations have go way, way beyond what we think about just here in the local news area, as you were saying earlier, Kraig. So for me, I'm a big believer that your reputation speaks for you when you aren't there to speak for yourself. So as we're looking at these three areas that I've written in here of reputation and character and competency and ultimately legacy, the first two are really, in my opinion, inextricably combined, okay? Because trust is a foundational part of reputation. Trust. And if you think about your career, if you think about the opportunities and the ability to influence change, move up the ladder, do something differently, you have to have trust. You have to have reputation. Competence and character are the two fundamental components of trust. So think about this. You've got to trust the person and who they are as a person, and then trust in their competence that they can get the job done. So I'll give you an example of this, right? I've got a buddy of mine, known him for years and years and years and years. Trust him implicitly. And I found out that, he's a guy that I trust my kids with, quite honestly. I mean, just a high character quality individual. Well, I found out that he got his pilot's license. And he says to me, hey, I got my pilot's license. I'm like, when did you do that? He's like, oh, I kind of kept it quiet. I've been working on it for about, 8-10 months. So, I'm getting there. When do you want to come up with me? And I said, how many hours do you have up there? So there's that, I trust the person. I'm just not quite trusting the competence yet, and that story really, in my mind, illustrates that if you are going to prioritize something in your career right now, it's building not just your reputation for who you are, but also the reputation for what you can do. What you can do.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The last one's interesting as well. Why don't you take us through that? Because I think we're only as good as what others might say about us years later.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is another key message that I often deliver, is that we have to look at the long game when it comes to reputation. We have to recognize that it's about being intentional and consistent over time, in alignment with our values. So oftentimes when people are thinking about their decisions, it's in that short term. I encourage all of us to think about what's the legacy that we want to leave behind? What's that legacy that we want people to recognize, remember, and speak to again when we're not there? So again, another thought in this is that we earn our reputations every single day. So what did you earn today? You should reflect on that. That will help build a legacy.
Yeah, no
I love
question.
that, Mike.
No
I love
question.
that.
Go ahead, Jill. Did you want to add something?
No, I was just saying, I love that idea of, what did your, reputation earn today? That's a really easy, mindful step that everybody can think about as they're making their choices and going through each day. I love it.
Yeah. Thanks, Jill.
I put this quote up there for obvious reasons. I think most people know who Stephen Covey is, and terrific motivator, inspirational person, has a lot of good thought leadership ideas and concepts. And he says the key is not to prioritize what your schedule says, but to schedule your priorities. And I think that goes back to me saying, okay, if we're going to build the network, then you got to carve out the time. If you're going to be a consultant, then you got to carve out the day. And you say, this is what I do on this day. I can't tell you how many people I talk to and they say, well, jump on my calendar and look for the openings for my calls. And they're very disciplined. I would say that Mike Mooney, one thing I've learned about him, and this is totally true, is you can only get Mike at certain times of the day. And I don't mean that as a dig at all. Mike focuses his energy on his day and goes about his day, and then he schedules his time. And I think that's important for a lot of people to do. I try not to get, yes, my phone might ring at 3 or 4 o'clock, and I choose to answer it. I can choose not to answer it, but I think it's important. So when it comes to career, folks, I think you've got to think about what is most important to you right now. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? I've got a couple of buddies still out there searching for exactly the right opportunity because of being furloughed or being a part of a company situation that frankly, they let go of a lot of people to downsize simply by economics. Has nothing to do. Their roles were purely eliminated because business changed. Has nothing to do with their skill set. So somebody's going to get an amazing person. All right. So what do they do to prioritize their schedule to focus on that? One more reminder. Here's where you can fire the questions at us. Facebook page, you can do it. info@cannadvisory.com. I am going to leave people with one more quote in just a second. I do want to take a moment to thank Jill Bauer for the online promotion of my podcast, which Mike Mooney was one of my earliest guests. And if you do go to Apple iTunes, or you do go to my YouTube channel or Stitcher or Spotify or TuneIn, you can find the episode that Mike and I had, where you'll learn a lot more about Mike's book, Mike's career, and where he's going. And yes, Jill Bauer will be a guest on my podcast. Jill, will you be a guest on my podcast at some point?
No
of
pressure,
course,
Jill.
anytime.
See,
Oh my gosh, come on.
I didn't think I was going to have to work that hard for it. So this week, all new, I'm just going to say this. I've done a lot of these interviews, and Jim Weatherby is a NASA hero. He is an American space hero. He is the only man or woman as part of the NASA program to command 5 space shuttle missions. He's been on 6 space shuttle missions, but the only one to command 5. And where we went with conversation about G-force and what it's like to be, sitting back, going straight up into the air at where he said like a grizzly bear is sitting on your chest. The walk across the way, just seeing a space shuttle, trying to land it perfectly on a runway in front of the entire world, how you dock to the International Space Station, the things that he's seen and done. It's fascinating. And I'm so honored that he would have taken the time to do that. And some upcoming guests as well that I think, are really terrific coming down the line. And in fact, Cole Swindell, his people contacted me yesterday about wanting to know the exact date. So I'm excited about that stuff. And I just wanted to say, Jill, thank you for the comment that you made. And Mike, thank you for basically helping me launch it in the first place.
That's awesome, dude. Proud of you, man.
So,
Proud
thank
of
you.
All right.
Yep.
That's great.
Here's something that I wanted to put up there for people. And Jill, I'm going to let you speak to this because I'm proud of you for many reasons. Glad to know you for many reasons. And we all have our platforms that we do. Right. By the way, Mike and I are trying to get her on Twitter. But anyway, Jill's really big on Facebook and Instagram. Okay. But here's the quote. If you want people to follow you, prioritize and focus on doing special things that make you worthy of people following you. So this goes back to where we were talking about prioritizing your time and your efforts. Basically, if you want to be relevant, work on doing relevant things, Jill, correct?
Right, of course. And I think it also goes back to those silos that I was talking about, right? So it's really keeping, you can have your hands on a lot of things, but especially if you're wanting to sort of stand out so that people are interested in you and want to learn from you and you're serving them, you have to bring it in a little bit. When I was on QVC, they always called me the Jill of all trades because I could really sell anything. Maybe not computers because I just wasn't into it, right? Like it wasn't important to me. So like maybe my heart wasn't in it as much, but everything else, they could kind of plug me into any show at any time and I would be fine. Now in my own brand, I can't be that far reaching. I have to bring it in and find out what are my real passions and then what are my real strengths. And oftentimes those go hand in hand, don't they? So on social media, especially if you look at my feeds, I've really tried to hone in on, I might touch on gardening a little bit. I might touch on organization a little bit, but at the core, it's decor, it's recipes, it's family, it's motivating and being inspirational. And so those are the things that I'm prioritizing so that people are engaged with that and they feel like, you know what, she kind of is the girl next door. Like that's somebody I would like to have as my neighbor who I could get a good recipe from, who has a nicely decorated house and could give me tips, who knows how to fold a fitted sheet. That's where I've really tried to bring things in. So I use myself as an example.
Don't go to the folding a fitted sheet deal.
I mean, I will teach you.
That is the most unbelievable
I have it on YouTube,
thing.
Kraig. I have it on YouTube.
You know how they have those little dryer balls? I find more things that have been folded up in the folded sheet.
Oh yeah.
Like, months later, I'm like, there's my favorite workout t-shirt. Okay.
There's the socks. Right?
Yeah. I wondered why I only had the one blue sock. Yes, that's exactly. All right. Here's the topic the next time we gather. And this is courtesy Jill Bauer, because she came up with it and I love it. Paying your experiences forward. Each and every one of you out there, us as well. We've done a diverse number of things. I mean, we have experiences, and I think that that's something that we've talked about on this program many times is putting those to work for you and how you can benefit others by doing that. So this is the topic, paying your experiences forward, and how what's already happened can make new things happen. And I think that's really important. I've always been a believer that you make opportunities come your way based upon how you handle the most recent ones you've had. So when people say, oh, I never get a chance to do this, I say, well, what did you do the last time you had X, Y, or Z opportunity? And I think that's really important. Mike talked at the beginning about his work up in Pennsylvania. If he doesn't crush it, if he doesn't help them see, the rainbow and the pot of gold at the end in the process, then the success story at the end isn't as powerful, and they're not all jumping for joy. That's what we have to figure out. How can we take all the things that we've done and make those happen? I don't want to give away all the things that we're going to talk about, but that's it. I'm going to leave each and every one of you, you, Jill, and you, Mike, with a final thought, and put this up, and hopefully we'll get some emails and people say, hey, how can I get you guys to talk to our team? So, Mike, I'll let you have the first word.
Awesome. So I'm gonna kind of go in a different direction with priorities real quick, because we talk about how important they are, and scheduling your time, and being mindful and intentional. The other aspect that priorities bring up in people is fear, because it means that they've got to go after something maybe big, something that they may not feel like they're prepared for. So my final word on it is that if you're feeling a bit fearful when you're thinking about the priority, because it's easy to say, oh, I could do the big thing, or I could just go through all of my emails and feel like I got some stuff knocked out, and sometimes, and I do that too sometimes. There are days when I'm like, oh my gosh, this is, too much. I'm just going to go to the easy stuff and feel like I've been productive, not impactful. So I would just encourage people that if you have a big priority that feels like it's that grizzly bear, like you said, sitting on your chest, figure out how you can carve it up into smaller pieces, right? How does the mouse eat the elephant? It's just one bite at a time. So take that and make smaller priorities and schedule those into your days. And I guarantee you're going to feel better about getting after that priority and the momentum that you're building.
Jill?
Kraig, we've talked before about that idea of so what when you make a statement. Yeah. And I think sometimes when you're looking at your priorities, you might have a list of your priorities, and they include family and, home and personal things. And then you have your priorities for your business or your career. But as you're listing those priorities, before you move to the next one, I think you need to ask yourself, so what? Help yourself really define, why is this a priority? What do I need to do to better prioritize it? Or you might find in the course of that deeper dive that maybe you're putting too much emphasis on one priority and something else should be moved to the front. So I think it's easy for all of us to list priorities, but it's important to do that deeper dive into each of them to really understand if we're prioritizing them correctly, or if they even need to be priorities at all.
Yeah,
that's great. I love that.
That's great. I mean, that speaks very much to the thought process of being able to say no. Yeah. And it's difficult. I'd be the first one to say, I try to please, and I have a habit of saying yes to a lot of things, because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, or you don't want to make them feel like they're not a priority. And that's not what it's really all about. So you have to be able to prioritize. You have to be able to do that. So next time, paying your experiences forward. That's the rest of the time that we have. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. As always, we will post this on our various sites, and you'll be able to see this. This was one of my favorite ones, to be perfectly honest. I'm going to say I've loved them all, but we'll call this episode 16, and it was really good. So that's a lot of episodes thus far, elevating you, reaching your peak, and we're glad to have Jill with us as often as we can have her. Mike, thanks, man. You have a great day today, okay?
Thank you. You too, both of you. And is it 20 episodes we get to syndicate? Is that when that happens?
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with it. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity out there for programming.
So I think so. I think so.
Bigger platform. Yeah.
Right.
Jill,
well, thank
final
you guys.
thought? Thank you.
No, great to see you guys. Look forward to catching up with you again next week. And thanks to everybody for spending part of their morning with us.
Yes. Elevating you, reaching your peak. Great to have you with us, and we'll do it again on another Thursday. Have a wonderful day, and thanks so much for the time.